Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Now, this is Central Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon with my wonderful, wonderful guest. I'm going to talk to her in just a minute. You can find us on the radio at icradio.media and where we are Fox News affiliates. You may also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television, syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast now on the newscasters.com. Continue sending emails. I really treasure each email you send me. I really do. Serious stuff. Anything you'd like me to maybe brush up on, you want me to do a little research for you, I'll be glad to do that. I'm the classic nerd. Yes. Yeah. In school, hung out at the library, was quietest in who's who. Yeah. The whole thing. I know Anne's having a hard time believing this. Did I ever send you the picture of me holding the sign up in the 12th grade? I'm most quiet and I'm quiet, please, in the library.
I just don't recognize that person.
Well, I was. But anyway, still really off the air, I'm still quiet. But I have wonderful guests like you. Ann Eubank is with me. She's with the Alabama Legislative Watchdogs. Good friend. My friends are the ones that I can count on, the one that I know are going to tell me the truth, whether I like hearing it or not. Yep. And that's a treasured friend. So just want to publicly say thank you for that, Ann.
Wow. Anytime. Anytime.
I know you love digging. So anyway, I think you enjoy it a little.
Oh, absolutely.
But I do the same for you. If you ever made a mistake, I would say something to you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think I went a little overboard with that remark. But anyway, I definitely would. Okay. So President Trump won. In my view, I know tinfoil hat and all that. I think he won just like this 4 years ago.
Right.
I think it was a landslide.
Right.
The electoral vote and the popular vote was a bit unusual. So nobody can argue that fact at all.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Because Trump, first time, shame on me. Second time, shame on you. So he's one of those which I love people like that. So he had to put some kind of mechanisms in place, and I'm pretty sure he paid for it to make sure that the people who voted right was counted and the cheating mechanism was at least lowered.
Right. Well, I saw Greg Phillips, who worked with Catherine Engelbrecht with True the Vote. I saw him last Friday night. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it. And of course, the RNC sent out their lawyers in every single swing state and several other states. They had lawyers ready on the standby. There were states that passed laws that changed what happened in COVID. COVID changed a lot of things the way they voted because, you couldn't go out in public in some states. So that reverted back. And then the 15 million votes that hasn't shown up in 25, 30 years. Of course, we have to assume that those were ghost votes, illegal votes that the machines were manipulated to add, which we all saw on TV. We saw that happen. So, we were prepared this time, and we had been fighting for 4 years to get a lot of that stuff cleaned up, especially Georgia and Pennsylvania. So that's a lot of what happened is because it had been exposed and they couldn't get away with it again because Catherine Engelbrecht and Greg Phillips had the proof. They knew what happened and they had the proof. And it was in the movie 2000 Mules. And if you haven't seen that, I'm sure you can pull it up somewhere. It was made a couple of years ago, but they proved what happened.
Absolutely, it did. But I'm still afraid to celebrate too much right now until President Trump gets in. Do you feel there are mechanisms in place right now that could prevent that by the left?
I think they are trying to do the best that they can. They know that they can't go too far because the American people are expecting them to try to do something. But what they can do if they declare martial law, because we go into World War III, because Biden, which I don't think it was Biden, I think it was Obama and his people in the White House gave Ukraine permission to fire American rockets into Russia today. I mean, that's an act of war. That's a provocation. And I certainly, yeah. And of course, Putin's rattling his sabers and talking about nuclear war, and it's not something anybody in the world wants. So let's hope that Trump and Putin have spoken, and that Trump has warned Putin they're going to do everything they can to provoke you, and let's just use common sense, because when I get in there, things will be different. I've heard rumors, because Kamala is the one that's going to have to accept the 312 electoral votes that will be done on January 6th. So I'm not going to D.C. this time on January the 6th, no matter who asked me to. I did that the last time, and
think there'll be another January 6th?
I don't think it'll be the same. I think we're a whole lot smarter, because they know. People like me know that that's what they set us up.
I remember talking to you that day.
Yes. They set us up, and they'll do it again. But there's no telling what they'll try to pull. I heard that they were going to try to pass some things for the civil servants, that they couldn't be fired, and to keep him from getting rid of the deep state. Some of the other, the confirmations in the Senate will be a problem if they can peel just one or two senators off to vote against a confirmation. That's a possibility, because Trump wants his team in there, and I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
Matt Gaetz being the number one target, not being confirmed. And I talked to Tommy Tuberville Friday night. We were all at the 1819 Courage Gala. And I asked Tommy, I said, what's the percentage that they don't vote Gaetz in? And he said, well, Tommy, he's kind of bombastic. He said, that's not going to happen, because we're going to be raising what if they even attempt it. That if somebody gets to the point where they won't vote for him, there'll probably be sanctions on that senator. So they're not playing. They're not playing. They want these confirmations done. So yeah, the Democrats and the Congress, Democrats in Congress are doing whatever they can to get in his way. But I think the American people woke up, not woke, but have awakened to their dirty tricks, and it's not going to be as easy this time. I
agree with you. I mean, so many things about the election. You had church people finally got out there, and
yes.
it was almost like they wanted to lose. I mean, in a way, it was like, are you wanting to lose? Because when Kamala was at this event, she told the two young guys, "You're at the wrong event. Jesus is King. Jesus is Lord." So she tells them they're at the wrong. It's the small one down the. I mean, how would you take that as a Christian? I mean, you're sitting there like, say what? You said that?
Yeah. And, they called us garbage, and they call, we're deplorables, and yeah.
I'm proud to be garbage, because that shows I've got some common sense.
Exactly. I think it backfired on them, especially with the minority men. I really do think that made a big difference. You will never know how much of a difference it made, because you could already see in internal polls. The external polls you can never believe, because they lie. But the internal polls was showing that minority men, blacks, Hispanic, Asian, all of the people that the Democrats have always counted on had were now leaning to Trump. So I think he had like 25% of the black vote, which is astronomical, considering what it had been in the past. The Hispanics have always leaned Republican because of their religion. And so I think it messed them up, but the American people know that they're going to do this.
I was tickled to death. So Brad calls, and they did early voting. They live close to Raleigh, North Carolina, And so he goes out there, and he said there were several black guys had "Make America Great Again" caps on. And he said this was like, he's been living there for like 14 years. And he said, I couldn't believe it. He said, I thought so, because people who would run into, he's got a lot of black friends, tons of them. So Brad said there was a guy behind him. He didn't know him, of course, but Brad never meets a stranger. So Brad turned around and saw he had a "Make America Great Again" hat on. And so he said, so you voting Trump? And he said, yeah, I hope you are. Told Brad he hoped he was. and Brad said, well, of course I am. I did the first time. But the guy told him he didn't the first time. He said, I didn't the first time, but I am now.
Oh, wow. So I've been to Raleigh, and that's a stretch when you have
it's liberal.
It is. It's that whole tri-city, whatever they call it, Raleigh, Cary, and whatever the other one is. They're pretty liberal, that triangle.
You've got Henderson, which is mostly black area.
Yeah.
And so in Oxford, and all that whole area,
Yeah, all Democrats.
Brad's still friends with them, with the liberals and everything. And so, but anyway, they were every liberal he knew was telling him we're voting Trump.
Wow. I was up there with the Cruz campaign out in the sticks. So I guess I was in Hendersonville, wherever that is. Yeah.
Well, there were times I was afraid to have my Fox News sign on the car.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But not now.
Yeah.
I even went through Atlanta with no problems.
Well, when it comes down to your pocketbook, it gets personal. And Biden and Harris destroyed America's pocketbook. The gasoline, the groceries, every single thing doubled and tripled in cost. And when it starts hitting home, you think about, whoa, I got to vote for somebody that's going to fix this for me and my children. I'm not going with ideology. And that's what happened.
That's the neat thing about that's one good thing that came out of the me generation. The world evolves around me. Yeah. That's one good thing that happened when it comes to brass tacks. That's going to happen every single time. Right. But I find it really interesting that that Mrs. Biden wore a red outfit.
Oh, was that in your face? I loved it. I think Jill Biden probably told Joe to call us garbage, because I don't think Joe has enough sense to
think about it.
No, he doesn't. No, I'm sorry. He's just not there. But I bet she told him to say it, and I think he said it. I could see her doing that.
I'll tell you, there was, and right after that, I'm telling you, because I got this right here. I had to get one. And Phil, we got matching ones. So
oh, my gosh.
So, but I thought it was really, really interesting that, all the memes that came out, and there's one I put on my Facebook, and I meant to tag you on it. So it was like this little short video of trash cans doing the can. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, I would have passed that one.
You would have loved that one. And just so many of them, and so many people, like that are real patriots in office, not the Romney types, but I'm talking about like real people who were. They were saying, "I'm about to go take the trash out." They were,
It was, it became a thing.
That was it. And why do you mess with a mask with I'm talking a master marketer? Why do you mess with someone like you? Didn't they know Trump's going to turn this right back around, like he went and worked at McDonald's? There he is putting fries in, when
you have Trump derangement syndrome, you just don't have common sense. You just don't think, I'm going to get him this time. No, you're not going to get Donald Trump.
Okay, you remember back when we were kids in school, and I remember my grandparents reading about Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
throw me in that briar patch, Well, that's what they threw. I mean, throw me in it, okay? Because give me some reason, I'm going to come back at it. I'm going to, they couldn't destroy him. They couldn't throw him in jail because there he goes showing that face and, and all this.
Well, I was at a prayer meeting last night for our state because we, got some bad stuff. And they were all talking about he has to be anointed by God to be able.
He has to be.
To have just come through that kind of storm for 8 years. And now he's going to face another 4.
Mm-hmm.
Normal people would have given up a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can't think of anybody else.
No.
It kind of makes me think of Moses, and JD makes me think of Aaron a bit. Where Moses had a speech impediment. Trump doesn't have a speech impediment,
right.
But sometimes he says things that he probably shouldn't say. I think he should. I say go for it, but
right.
that's where you and I are different.
Yeah.
Because I was saying go for it. It doesn't hurt my feelings for him to say these things.
Nope.
But anyway, it's like Moses wasn't like the best speaker.
Yeah.
So Aaron was there as an interpreter for him, and I like JD, and I don't know why people in the past have had a problem with JD. If you saw his movie and read his book, you're like, he's one of us.
Yeah, he's just a good old boy. I mean, a smart, good old boy,
educated,
very intelligent. Yeah. No, I like J.D. Vance. I dealt with him a little bit when I was in Washington a couple of times, and he's just really nice, down to earth, talks to everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. And a lot of those politicians up there don't. So, I like him, and I think he's tough as nails, considering his upbringing. He would have
to be tough as nails.
Yeah.
This is called street smart.
Right.
And you can be as educated as they come, have every degree there is with every liberal college on earth. But if you're not street smart, you're just stupid.
You're not. He's going to be very effective as vice president. I don't know what they have planned for him to do yet. I don't think they've even discussed it because they're still working on their cabinet. But whatever they choose for him to do, he will be very effective.
I think he'll probably be probably the first VP we had that wasn't a stupid second banana.
Right. Yep.
Because I mean, it's like they want to try to get his like if God help if Kamala Harris had won with that moron that she was running in for VP. I mean,
not only he's a moron,
would you like to call Tampon Tim? How would you like for that to be your nickname?
Oh Lord. And not only that, he's a communist. They're both communists. Their parents were communist. I just don't know how we got here. I know I do, but I don't. I don't know how the people of America Democrats could not see what was going on in the Democrat Party to stop it. And by the way, I don't call it Democratic Party because it's not. It's the Democrat Party.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely it is.
Yes. So both of them just red flag waving communist, and it would have been disaster had they been elected.
Something else that happened in North Carolina, I think that probably swayed the vote. I know a bunch of people who live in Asheville, North Carolina, and they're libs. They're libs.
Yep.
But they didn't vote liberal this time.
Yep.
You know why?
FEMA.
And the Cowboy Church, I go to Cowboy Church.
Yeah.
They're always like them and other churches that were out there. And Philip Gilliland, who was with the American Fellowship of Cowboy Churches, he and one of his buddies. So he sent me a message that Sunday night, and he was really upset because FEMA was coming in confiscating like water,
right, everything,
everything, and he was upset. But you know what? In Tennessee, they ran into the wrong sheriff. FEMA did. He wasn't going to tolerate it.
Yeah.
I bet it just made me think of Walking Tall.
Right.
But anyway. Some tough people came up against them, so they backed off.
Right.
In some areas. But when you have a disaster like that, I mean, water is not drinkable. No. I mean, when you've been drinking out of the faucet, you can't drink that water.
Yeah. I'm still getting videos from some of my friends that were still up there. I got one this morning from the Cajun Navy that are bringing in mobile homes for people to live in up there. And it's unbelievable what the private sector and what these, and Samaritan's Purse. And I have one friend that has a plane that's been up there for 2 months since it happened, since like the day or two after it happened. And he's still there delivering supplies. So, FEMA needs to go away.
Yeah, they do. And okay, like the Gadsden Mall. Okay, so they collected water and canned foods and stuff like that. And then Kaylee, she's over the mall and the whole Southeast, basically all over the United States with the people who own that mall. And so she sent me a message, want to know do you have any ideas on how we can get this there? I can't get it there, she said. And I said, the Cowboy Church. So I went on ahead and called Philip Gillen, and then Philip had the guy who pastors the church up in Sylvania.
Right.
So Marty comes by, and he comes with this great big huge van, and moving van, like huge, and he gathers all that stuff and takes it. So where there's a will, there's a way. The American public is going to make it happen. But if you've got to go through 10 chains of command to get simple supplies, it's
right.
Who has faith in FEMA anymore?
Peg Luxick, who lives up in Virginia, called me, and we set up a group to buy coats on Amazon and have them shipped up there.
Great idea.
And they had a warehouse up there, and we had the address to where those coats needed to be shipped, because she said it's about to get cold up here, and there's
cold there when it's not cold anywhere else in North Carolina.
So we had a bunch of people, a bunch of patriots go online and order coats on Amazon and have them shipped up there to that warehouse. So private people are doing much better than FEMA.
It always has been that way. I've heard my grandparents who lived through the Depression talk about how we didn't have food stamps and welfare back in that day.
Right.
And they said, no, you'd find somebody like a widow woman and needed food, whatever. The church took care of that. They didn't have food stamps and welfare. And they would get together like somebody's their house was blown off due to a windstorm or whatever. A bunch of men would get in the community and just to get it all done in one day.
Right. Well, that's kind of what the Amish are up there doing, building thing. Yeah, they're good people. So I don't know. Let's see, who is going to be head of FEMA? Who did he put for HHS? Oh, Kennedy. Oh, that's going to be fun.
That's going to be mind-boggling.
I can't wait. I really can't wait. Matt Gaetz as AG is going to be awesome. Tuberville told me that he was the best at questioning people and getting answers that he had ever seen. So, Matt Gaetz is a little flighty and done probably some things as a single guy that he's probably not proud of, but it's kind of like Trump. You got to use what's going to get it done.
Why do people act like the Democrats are like Good Housekeeping? They're Betty Crocker.
Exactly.
For goodness sakes.
Look at Merrick Garland. He is the evil. Look at Becerra. Look at that awful guy who's the border person who just, I don't know nothing. No.
No, we don't need those people.
No.
Clean house. That's what you do in a business.
That's right.
That's what you do. And so you and I were talking off the air a few minutes ago. So we had this scenario where you and I are with a company, and we're sitting at a board. We're the board of directors, and we're sitting in a meeting. There's a big table, and so someone is wanting to replace the CEO. Let's say he died. Okay, so we got to find somebody to replace the CEO. So you got a Kamala Harris type who comes in and she's giggling about, I don't know, Starbucks or something, about having a cup, not getting my lipstick on. But then you got someone like a Donald Trump who comes in and he says, yeah, I can do it. And he starts like laying the plan out. I got the people I can already put in place, blah, 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 blah. And then they say they want to go with the Kamala Harris type. How quick will our hands go up? 9 years.
2.5 seconds. That's all it takes.
Hold it.
2.5 seconds.
I got a question. I don't want to be on the board of directors if this person gets in.
That's right. DEI is illegal in Alabama. You can't do that. But when UAB, and I heard this last night because we had some UAB people in our group, bought St. Vincent's Hospital, the first thing they did was take everything religious out and make the chapels non-denominational, and then they all had to take a DEI course. That's illegal. UAB is just 2 weeks ago. UAB is owned by the state, basically. UAB Hospital is a state hospital. DEI is illegal in Alabama. What are they doing? I don't understand. These DEI hires that are incompetent, no, we wouldn't put up with that. Not at all.
In my business, they wouldn't, because I'm in business now to make a profit.
That's right.
And I don't care first of all, if you're confused about your sex, I don't want you in my company. There's a problem. No. We'll send for you to get rehab. And then after rehab, then I'll look at your resume.
Well, that's really a mental.
It is.
That's a mental problem. It's part of the symptoms of something else.
You know what I think a lot of it is? I don't think people are confused about their gender at all. They're just trying to get attention, because we've got an issue with people wanting attention.
Well, that's true, because it's all about me and y'all not,
Well, this election, because you brought up a wonderful point about this election. When it comes right down to brass tacks, what was it you said?
Pocketbook. When it gets personal and you're messing with my money, I'm voting for somebody else. And that's what happened. In my opinion, that's number one. Of course, number two was ideology, because most people realized they didn't want socialism and communism and fascism and Marxism, which is what the Democrat Party is. So they'll go with Trump and try to figure out what he can and can't do. But I want him first. Oh, I must tell you this. Ryan Walters, the state school board superintendent of Oklahoma. You remember me talking about him when I was in Dallas and he was at the Heritage event? And I tried to talk him into coming to Alabama because we needed him here in Alabama. He's going to be the Secretary of Education. Now, there's two things. One, if he's Secretary of Education, it won't be what's happening now. But two, did they put him in there to shut it down? Did Trump say, okay, I want you to fix it while you're shutting it down? Because his attitude was, and I remember this just like it was yesterday, and it's probably been 2 years. Federal government should not send money to the states and tell them what to do with it. If the federal government is going to send money to the states for education, it should be block granted, and the states know what to do with it. So I'm very excited. He's just wonderful. You just wait till you see him on TV. I heard last night.
I think men are tired of people wanting to be feminine anymore, and I think men are ready to be men again. I think that's a pretty darn good thing. Right. I'm good with a guy with a strong man opening the door for me. Yeah, I'm good with that. So I would like to see this go back to when men were men and women were women. Exactly. That would be awesome. Exactly. As a matter of fact, somebody's going to send me an email and they're going to say, well, what about women in business? You're in business. Well, guess what? The last chapter of Proverbs, that woman is a businesswoman. Yeah. Okay. She goes out, she finds a vineyard, and she buys it while her husband's sitting in the gates, which is fine. But anyway, she is a businesswoman. Then Lydia, who was a buyer of purple, was a businesswoman. Okay, so no argument there. I've already settled it. Before you send the email, I've already settled it.
I do not object against women in business. I was
I don't either. I'd be
for-
fine with one to be president, but not the last nut that's
No,
tried to be,
no,
or the
no,
one
no,
before her. We got to go into a commercial break.
Okay.
We'll be right back in just a minute. I promise.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time. So I get to ride home with you in the afternoon, and my good buddy right here, Ann Eubank, gets to ride home with you too. I just got to say, Ann, you're like the strongest woman I know, and I thought my grandmothers were the strongest women I knew, but
Well,
you're.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I mean, you should know me. I don't tell. I
Well,
don't give that card out to everybody.
You know, it's not me. I just do what I get knocked on the head for up there. I'd like to step back and not fight this fight, but the Lord says, no, you got to keep doing it, because I gave you the brain and the discernment to see what the heck's going on, where the other people have scales on their eyes. I don't. And I'm not afraid to say so. You know, I'm not. I guess my mother was liberated before they ever thought of the word. And even though I'm not liberated, I'm a typical regular woman. I'm not afraid. And it's not me. It's because that's what God has handed me to do. And that's my mission. So I do it.
But you also you think about the future. You think about your kids. You think about your grandkids and
Yes.
what kind of a world. I think that hurts you more than you don't even do it for you. You do it for your future generations, which is admirable.
Well, the reason I got in this fight was for my grandson being taught Common Core. And it just keeps rolling downhill. Everything from Common Core to Innovate to Workforce is all connected to Obama and the globalist. That's their master plan. And a lot of people don't understand it, can't see it, and think it's a great and wonderful thing. But when you put it all together and you connect the dots, they're they're encircling us, and we're not going to know what happened until it's already done.
It's already done. Okay, yep. I was done with Common Core when the first time I went to a drive-through to pick up a burger or whatever, and so I give the person cash, and they acted like I was about to blow their head off with a gun. It was just like, I had to call the manager. I got to call the manager. You couldn't do that in your head. Okay. Of course, it's not $10.50 anymore. Now it's $20.50. But anyway,
or more.
Yeah. So I give you $20.50. You can't figure out to give me $10 back.
Yeah. Thank you, Common Core.
Thank you.
If you don't have a piece of paper and a pencil and a bunch of boxes and dots and sticks, they can't add. They can't do anything in their heads at all.
Can this be reversed? I mean, is there any way?
It won't be reversed by
we're just going to skip a generation or two?
Yeah. Kind of like if you stop and think when integration came in 1966, 67, 68. I graduated in 66, last class with all white students and all white teachers. And after that, we lost anywhere from 10 to 12 years of education trying to work through integration because they had to dumb down everything. Nobody was learning. You couldn't teach because of the uproar that happened everywhere in classrooms.
Events all over the place.
Yeah. So it's going to be the same. The way that we've lost 12 to 14 years worth of quality education for America. And as soon as they reverse it and go back to a classical education, then it'll pick back up again. Mm-hmm. It's sad, but that's what happens.
It is. It's very sad. And what's going to happen if we have Social Security benefits years from now, that era of kids is going to really suffer.
Yes. They're already transferring a lot of the new, like 50-year-olds. They're already notifying them that there's a movement afoot to make Social Security into their own individual 401ks. So you need to be watching that. I'm not sure whether that's good or bad because the devil's in the details.
Yeah. Well, first of all, if the government comes to you and they're smiling and they're saying, we're doing something for you, we're doing something, okay, I'm running the other way.
Yeah. So, but the good thing is the generation behind this last one, like the 13, 14, 15-year-old kids are reverting back to Americans. And we can see it just in the way they are in the classroom. But if you get above that, then they're still in that generation of we hate America. But the generation coming up behind them is doing a lot better. That's what we're seeing.
I was watching the election night, and someone was out doing a roving reporter kind of thing, and he was at a college. I was surprised. Now, there were some people going, oh, well, I want to vote for Kamala Harris. But the biggest number of them were saying, no, we're voting for Trump.
Right.
Young people, fresh in college. Okay. And so he would ask, why are you voting for Trump? And one girl really sparked my interest. And she was a young, pretty girl, probably cheerleader and all that stuff. And so she said, I'm having to live with my parents. I can't go to the college I want to go to. We can't afford me to have a dorm. We can't, so I'm voting for Donald J. Trump.
It's the economy stupid. Is
that all over it?
Yeah. It's just like a cycle. Yeah. But yeah, the generation coming up having to deal with all of this, not having better than what their parents have, is the ones that are going to save us.
Well, one thing that happens is everybody, it always skips a generation. Every generation, though, thinks their parents were stupid. And in most cases, sometimes, but anyway, they'll see the mistakes their parents made, and then they want to do better than that, unless it's a generational curse.
Right.
Unless, it but it helps to have not a village raising you. I'm not like Hillary Clinton on that at all, but I'm saying it's good for kids to have mentors just in case they have parents like that.
Yeah. Well, both of my parents were very liberal, and that's why I'm very conservative.
I figured. Well, see, my parents, mother was a Republican for most causes. Dad was a Democrat. And so and then his parents were Democrats. Mothers were Republican. But I always kind of was somewhere in the middle, and I ticked everybody off, and I voted for Ross Perot.
I loved Ross Perot. I voted for Ross Perot.
Okay, first of all, I questioned Mother about this. I said, Daddy Bush keeps talking about the world order.
Right.
I mean, does that not,
Oh, yeah.
mess you up just a little bit? For me. And then I didn't like Clinton, the womanizer. So but I had to say this. If I had to choose between Bill and Hillary, I'd choose Bill.
Every single day. Hillary Clinton is evil.
He actually reached across the board a few times.
She's evil. I mean, through and through evil.
He just wanted to have a good time with the women. That's all he wanted to do. But which is bad. But what I mean is at least it wasn't to destroy anything. I mean,
right. I know.
He reached, what I heard? Phil says this. Phil said, "Do you know why he reached across the aisle?" I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because the Republican women were prettier than
Amen to that. Hey, I'm telling you.
So he said, "He knew what he was doing."
Everybody says
I wanted to ask you another question about something. So my daughter-in-law, is from Russia.
Right.
And she's a card-toting. I do not like Democrats. I do not like illegals. I don't like any of this stuff. So before the election, I said, "Well, what are your thoughts about all the illegals here? They're not all like you. Jumped hurdles and learned to speak English and all this kind of stuff and have a career and all that." And she said, "I think they're going to vote I think they're going to vote Republican." And I said, "So why?" And she said, "Because I remember how it was when I came from a communist country. When I came here, even though she was just 9 years old, her eyes were open very quick because, you didn't have to fight for food. I mean, they were starving to death. She actually lived in an orphanage. And it was a terrible setup she was in. So she was so grateful she was grateful for light switches.
Oh.
In the orphanage, it was really high ceilings, Debbie, her mother's told me, the people who adopted her. My son, by the way, married up. Okay. Not like us. Those people are much better than we are. But anyway, Debbie was talking about how the ceilings were really, really high. And they had light switches or had these pull down cords.
Like
they had here, but they had it to where kids couldn't reach. So lights out. You did not see the break of day until sunlight.
Oh,
that's when you saw it. So when they came in, Jim comes in from the garage, just not thinking anything about it, just flicks the light switch. And they said Larissa just went.
Oh.
She was and couldn't speak English. So, but she was just like, and they said, why is she acting like that for? And Jim said, well, when I turned the light switch on, she acted like that. So he reached and turned it off, turned it back on again. She started running through the house looking for light switches, turning them off. So she said, what I think is they've been paid the money. They're going to take the money. But I think they're going to vote Republican. She's probably right about that. She said, because they're thinking, man, I don't want it to be like, I just left this nonsense. I just left Haiti.
I think a higher percentage than what they expected is, the Hispanics, the blacks, the higher percentage voted.
I don't know a Hispanic that votes Democrat. I mean, in my area.
Well, the criminals do.
Well, yeah.
If they vote. So that's the whole thing. Do these criminals and insane people that they let in by the millions, do they really vote? Or did they just register them and somebody else votes for them? And I got to tell you a case in point. I vote at Bluff Park United Methodist Church. And Wendy and I went to vote that morning. And there was a young lady in front of Wendy who walked up to the sign in and said, I need a provisional ballot. And the lady who was sitting there said, why do you need a provisional ballot? She said, well, I don't have an ID. And the lady, so she went and got the supervisor. And the supervisor told her that, kept asking her questions. Well, where do you live? Are you voting out of district? Why do you want a provisional ballot? Blah, blah, blah. And she would not answer. She really wouldn't answer the questions. So they turned her over to another lady, and she told that lady, well, I lost my ID, so I don't have an ID. And that lady, who was not the supervisor, let her sign in. And the supervisor told the young lady, I'm giving you a provisional ballot and you need to bring it back to me. The young lady went and filled out the provisional ballot, which is the same as a regular ballot, but they keep it behind the desk. And they count them last because they don't know whether this person is legally entitled to vote. She didn't take it back. She got in line and put it in the machine. So you don't really know if she was the person that she signed in for. And I guarantee you there's a lot of that going on. They actually sign them up to vote. But those illegals, the criminals and the mentally ill, don't go vote. They send somebody else to vote for them. So we reported it, but,
Well, it needs to be, because, I mean, if there's something wrong with your mind, you don't need to vote. I mean, because this is a serious situation here. It's serious.
Yep.
Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you really need to have your full facilities. But then again, we've had a president for the past 4 years that didn't have his full facilities.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be hypocritical and tell people that you can't vote, and you don't even know where you are half the time. So,
okay, let's talk about Trump. Okay, we got a lot of illegals here. They're right up our road. I mean, they're just all over the place. We went to the bank the other day. So many illegals were in there. There were Haitians all over the place. It took us about an hour to get out.
Must have been Friday payday, right?
No, it was like Thursday.
Oh, you're kidding. Okay. Do they get paid on Thursday?
They must. They probably get theirs a lot sooner than anybody else would.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, putting it on a card or something.
Yeah.
So.
Those Haitians that are in your area, Albertville, Coleman, they're here legally. They're not illegal, but they only have, because the federal government brought them in on a refugee program, actually flew them in on American planes, but they only have a 90-day window. And that 90-day window is up after Trump goes into office. Okay. And he says he's sending them back, but we'll see. Because right now, as it stands, they're legal. They're not citizens, so they can't vote, but they're here legally under a federal program. And there's nothing you can do to them.
Okay, if we really believed in COVID and having the jab and wearing a mask and all that kind of stuff, wouldn't we still be a little bit concerned about that? People coming through, that they don't have to wear a mask coming in. They don't have to have a jab apparently on the way in.
Well, they really don't have any idea who the heck they are. They didn't do background. They just lined them up, put them on an airplane, and brought them here. And if you notice, I think Albertville's schools were really having a hard time, because I think what they said, about 150 children, and they all speak different dialects because they came from 3 different countries, and the state didn't know what to do with them. The schools didn't know what to do with them. So again, this whole workforce program that our wonderful Governor Kay Ivey, the supreme executive in the state who can do whatever the heck she wants to do, had set these people in here to go to work. And Catholic Charities has a lot to do with it. They found unaccompanied minor workers in the chicken plants that were given to people, and they're being forced labor. They found them in Montgomery in the car plants. And when Trump gets in, he's going to have hands. I'm telling you, Hanson is going to have his hands full. But I read this morning where they're going to bring in the either the military or the National Guard to help with it. And these people are going back.
Okay, what if it's a wife and she dropped out a couple of kids? One kid. Is that not going to cause an issue there? Because if you have a kid while you're here, that kid becomes an American citizen. Is that correct?
That is correct. So they'll have a choice. Do you want to leave the child here because you're leaving? And I really think we need an amendment to the 14th Amendment. That amendment was not designed for foreigners to come into America to have children. Mm-hmm. It was put there to make the freed slaves citizens. And that was all it was for. Not to allow Chinese to come over here and have their babies and have an American citizenship, or any other foreign nation to send their people over here to have children so that they will be an American citizen. So I think we really need to bring up the fact that that needs to be amended, because if you go back and read the Federalist Papers and the papers and the discussions in Congress about what that was for, mm-hmm. you'll find that it was specifically designed to free the slaves and make them American citizens.
Okay, do we not have people in office who know about this?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have some very smart people in office and in Congress. But is it a battle? They only choose battles that they know they can win without causing problems.
Well, you're friends with Tommy Tuberville. Tell him.
I will.
Call him and say, hey, Tommy, me and you buddies. This is something that's burning on my mind. I know you know about this. Yep. Can you work on it?
Yeah. Absolutely. I wonder where my light went out. So absolutely, I can do that. And Ted Cruz knows it. We've had the discussion before. So it's like we have to have a crisis before they address it. And this may very well be the crisis. And
I would think it's a crisis.
Yeah, and we may very well see something happen.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's just, it's amazing. Okay, so Trump, I'm a huge advocate, for fair tax. You know that. I'm a card vote fair tax person. And from what I've studied on it, and Chuck and Marilyn Bailey are on the show about once a month or so, but from what my own study about it, it seems like it'd be a pretty darn good thing. It would eliminate the IRS, which I'm for, but now there's some things that Trump's saying that makes me think he's thinking about a version of this.
Flat tax.
Is that what he's thinking?
Flat tax, 10%.
I think that would turn everything around. I don't know which one he goes with. I think that would turn it all around. And what I like about it, and I'd like to do another comparison on flat tax and fair tax, because that would straighten up a lot of things. Now, would that also get rid of the IRS? Flat tax?
No, but it would cut it down to about a quarter or an eighth of, because all you do is put your income. There will be no deductions, nothing. Put your income, pay 10%, and that's it. So you would have some part of the IRS, but nothing like the VAT, the fair tax. And I've listened to Mary Lynn and Chuck. Is kind of like a European VAT tax, and it's complicated. In my opinion, people will not understand it. And when you first start it, you have to do a lot of convolutions to get it started. And that would be a problem.
Well, in my business, when I made a change on anything, I tried to come up with the simplest, summon, easiest way possible.
Right.
Because I wanted my employees to understand it, right. And so I would just make it super simple. Don't make it complicated. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Right. So
if that's easier, then I'm for that one. I'm for anything like that.
Well, the flat tax would be a lot easier, but I don't think he's going to be able to accomplish that. That's down the road if it ever gets done, because of our the Treasury system and the banking system and the IRS and the, all those people that.
Yeah, but he doesn't mind if it's complicated.
No, he doesn't. But he's got a lot of other things to finish that he didn't get done the first time. And that wasn't on the list.
Okay, we know President Trump. How soon can he turn this economy around?
If he goes in and kills the Green New Deal, if he goes in and takes the regs off of the energy sector and gasoline companies, I'll tell you how bad that is. McLeod Software here in Birmingham and Hoover is laying off people. Unbelievable. They do trucking software. So the trucking industry has been decimated by these energy policies. Trucking industry affects every single sector of our economy: food, gasoline, everything. So if he goes in and takes the regs off, and he goes in and kills all of those new Green Deal junk that they've put out there, and and takes the taxes back down, because the Democrats say they're going to let his tax cuts expire at the end of the year, he'll have to put them right back on. And it won't. I would say you'll be able to see within 3 months, if the banks don't fail, because they're now doing those awful mortgages that they did in 2008 because of all the illegals and all the illegals and all of the people that don't have jobs, that the economy is decimated. The government is backing their mortgages. And the bank's going to do the same things they did the first time, and we'll go through 2008 again, unless he goes in and immediately puts a stop to it.
Think the mortgage rates are going to go down? Do you think balloon? How about the houses are it's inflated? I mean, it's just terrible how much a house costs these days. So you think the housing markets, the price?
Well, they're already, my daughter's a mortgage processor. And the rates are already coming down, but all they're getting is junk because people are not selling their houses. I think it's going to start picking up after Christmas, maybe February is what she's telling me. But we'll see what kind of quality that, people don't want to sell their house that they bought when they had 2% and 3% interest rates. And now it was 7% and it's down to 6 3/4. I mean, why would you want to go out and buy another house unless you just had to? So there's nothing.
Or if you had cash or something, but.
And the reason the houses are so high is there's nothing out there to buy. I mean, you can ask, your asking price is whatever you want. So, it's going to improve, but it's going to take a couple of months.
Yeah, but that's record time. A Democrat could never make it happen in 10 years, let alone 2 months.
Well, look at what he did.
He did the first time.
Yeah, look at what he did the first time. I mean, it just immediate. I read something today that said confidence in the economy improved right after he was elected. So anytime you have confidence in the economy, then it's going to get better.
I just hope World War III doesn't break out before it gets in. That's the only thing. And we're going to have to call it a day. Thank you so much for being with me.
You're welcome.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you again so much. Love you bunches.
Bye.
And thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason we do what we do. Continue sending emails. Donna@donnasedge.com. Have a wonderful rest of the day.